Hey guys, what's up? Back again with L. We will talk about anything else, but now we are talking about employee center management, creating a workspace where employees are able to deliver their best work. There are many books written on management and leadership, but most of them are written from the perspective of the manager. You know that. Such a book are typically based on interview with manager, in which they talk about the things they do and approach they use, and they typically offer advice to help today and tomorrow manager do their job better. While there is a value in such books, it is noteworthy how little attention is typically paid to the fears, doubt, aspiration, or needs of the employee. And of course, this focus on the person doing the managing rather than the one being managed serve to perpetuate a lot of our traditional assumption about management. Being a top-down and control-oriented activity, analogously, this approach is a bit like writing a book about marketing or selling without understanding the customer. It places the emphasis in the wrong place and it therefore ends up telling only a partial story. The research we report on here is to take an employee-centered approach to management. It starts with the view that management is about seeing the world through the eyes of the employee. Just as marketing is sometimes described as seeing the world through the eyes of the customer. According to this perspective, the job of the manager is essentially to enable employees to do their best work, to help them reach their own personal goals while also delivering on the organization goal. This employee-centered approach starts with a much deeper understanding of the world view of employees than we currently have, and it seeks to recast the role of the manager as one of tapping into an employee's strength, enabling her aspiration, negating her fears. Such an approach ultimately offers advice to managers in terms of what they can do to be more effective. But the road to this advice is via an analysis of the employee's words, not the manager. Okay, I'll tell you something. Insight from the interview. We spoke to employees about the working environment and the work they were doing. We want to get their views on the aspect of their work that they found motivating and engaging, as well as the various concern, fears, or frustration that got in the way of them delivering their best work. Then we asked them more narrowly about their relationship with their immediate boss and the thing he or she did to shape the working environment for individual employees in a positive or negative way. What makes my work motivating and fulfilling? While there was plenty of variation in the specific answer, here we quickly converge on a set of 5 characteristics that everyone could recognize. This can be summarized as follows. Responsibility for doing something worthwhile. I love to be involved and contribute to defining the commercial output. A high level of freedom in how I achieve my result. I'm not just responsible for obtaining the result, but I'm free on which way to follow to obtain it. I'm not a mere executor, an opportunity to extend myself and to develop expertise. I like problem solving around technical issue. My greatest aspiration is to pass my knowledge on to someone else. An opportunity to work with good colleagues. What motivates me most is the relationship with my co-workers. This gives meaning to my work life. Recognition by those around me for doing a good job. I like to know I am doing a good job. What keeps me motivated is when I get a thank you from the lads. A few observations. First, none of this is surprising. They are all things we can instantly recognize as important and valuable. The surprise factor is that so many people in very different working environments find themselves doing work that doesn't have these attributes. We discuss this below. Second, it's worth underlining what's missing from this list. The dogs that did bark. Money is nowhere to be seen. It was mentioned only by a couple of people, and these were salespeople with a large variable component to their pay. Likewise, there was no discussion of the physical working environment. Both pay and physical space are what Frederick Hesberg called hygiene. In Indonesia, hygienis. Factors when they are below an acceptable level, they create dissatisfaction, but no matter how high they are never a source of positive satisfaction. Third, these characteristics were consistently mentioned across a wide variety of contexts, from white-collar office workers to factory machinists, frontline hotel employees, and IT help desk workers. So this may be some people who want very precise instruction and narrowly defined tasks, but we did meet any of them in this research. Most working environment we believe would benefit from working this principle. What my fears and frustration in workplace? The other way of getting to grip with motivation and engagement the workplace is to start from the negative, or the things that worry people or keep them awake at night. Effective management is potentially as much about get rid of the negatives is about enhancing the positive. The list of fears, concern, and frustration mentioned by employees was very long, and in fact much longer than the list of positive attributes we described above. Some focus on very basic fears, such as losing their job or the company getting into financial trouble. Others focus on what we might call higher order concerns, such as not living up to their own expectation or not getting the level of mentoring they like. Really came to realize.
Kenapa cewek kalau nolak cowok itu selalu bilang kamu terlalu baik?
Tandanya lu jelek, sadar diri lah.
Savings. What I just asked you was the definition of wealth. Here is a man named Robert Kiyosaki, an American investor, businessman, author, motivational speaker, and financial commentator who became well known in the recent years, who has an estimated net worth of $80 million. Wanna know something interesting? Huh? He wasn't raised in a wealthy background. In fact, his family was like most people who worked but didn't have the best financial education and oftentimes struggled with money. So then, how did Robert become rich today? Let's take a look as he explains in one of his bestsellers called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki was born in Hilo, Hawaii in April 1947. In 1957, at age 9 years old, little Robert was attending the same public school where the rich people sent their children, for his town had lots of doctors, business owners, and bankers. Robert saw that the rich kids would separate themselves from him, for his family wasn't able to afford the newest collections of toys and bikes like them. So, one day, Robert asked his father, who had a PhD and completed multiple universities with excellent degrees, "Dad, can you tell me how to get rich?" Unfortunately, his dad didn't know the right answer because he wasn't rich himself, so he responded with, "Well, use your head, son. Stay in school, get good grades, so you can find a safe and secure job." His real dad is what he'll be referred as Poor Dad. He wasn't poor during this time. In fact, he was making lots of money. But in the end, this man's financial life takes a turn for the worst. Now, little Robert has a friend named Mike, in which Mike's father would be referred as Rich Dad, who started mentoring Robert and his son Mike about how to really become rich. At this point in time, Rich Dad wasn't really rich yet, but soon became to be one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. So then, what did Rich Dad teach Robert? Rich Dad poured a strong financial foundation into these kids' minds of many important principles. To start off, the first lesson you need to know is you must know the difference between an asset and a liability, and that you need to buy assets. If you want to be rich, this is all you really need to know and understand the most. You see, the rich acquire assets, and the poor and middle class acquire liabilities, but sometimes they think they are assets. The primary cause of financial struggle is simply not knowing the difference between an asset and a liability. Oh, right. You don't even know what an asset and a liability is, don't you? An asset is something that puts money in my pocket. A liability is something that takes money.
Okay, I think it's enough. Thank you for watching and thank you for everything. I'm L. Come back later.